Hello, everyone. Welcome to our May meeting of the Chug, and it's nice to see some new faces. I'm Ann McKay. I'm co-leader along with Hope Tillman, who is also on the call with me today. And I just want to let you know that the Zoom calls will stop after this session. I'm taking the whole summer off, June, July, and August, but Hope will continue her in-person programs in Brookside Classroom 1 for June and July. And your programs will be come with your problems. Is that correct, Hope?
Yep. Yeah, I'm not preparing. I'm just, unless you send me something ahead, and then I will prepare on that thing.
Okay. And today's topic is AI for beginners, or AI for everyday use. And Hope and I put together this program, and I had fun putting it together because I learned so much in the process. And I think that's part of the reason we both do these programs, because
Yep.
We're no smarter than the average person, but we do like to learn new things. So let's get going. I'm going to start off with the everyday use, and Hope will take over in the second half. So what is AI? Well, it's machines doing things we think of as smart. We hear about the smart TV, and it's really artificial intelligence with acting like human intelligence with some thinking and decision making, and it can recognize faces and recognize text. So why does that matter to you? Well, we have learned it's certainly not for techies, and we have been seeing the benefit of AI for many years. So it really does help us in everyday things. For instance, your phone, your TV, and even your hearing aids, and Hope can tell us about that. So
Yes.
just to give you an idea of some of the everyday AI that we use all the time are health and safety applications, fall detection, medication reminders. We've got smart devices hooking up our lights, thermostats, the Ring cameras, entertainment, music, movies, books, captioning, and translation. And I think I will put on the captioning in a moment. And of course, the voice assistants, that Siri on our phones and our computers, and also the Amazon devices Echo that uses the Alexa voice. So these are some of the everyday voice assistants we've been using for years. Siri, for instance, Alexa, and Google has voice assistants also. And health and safety, you're familiar with the medical alert systems, and they're starting to incorporate artificial intelligence in some of the monitoring and data analysis ability, the GPS piece. And, Apple Watches do have used algorithms and AI, but there's also a group of other smartwatches, Samsung, the Google Pixel Watch, Fitbits now are incorporating AI, and of course the Apple Watch. And my husband has a $49 smartwatch. He uses it mainly to tell time, but it also, tracks his heartbeat and does some other things very similar to the Apple Watch.
Oh, wow.
So you're familiar with Face ID on your iPad or your iPhone, but also facial recognition is used in a lot of other settings. For instance, if you're coming back from out of the country at BWI, they use facial recognition to let you back in. And corporations use it for access control. We've certainly seen the movies where they use facial recognition to get into a place. And, law enforcement, of course, is using it. And they're using, once they recognize your face, they can run it by databases to actually identify who you are. And if you watch enough crime procedurals on television, you see that in action all the time. And we can't forget, entertainment. You kind of forget how much they really know about you. Because how many times have you watched a YouTube video or even a movie on Amazon Prime or Netflix? And all of a sudden, there's all these other you might like. And then there's a list of other movies that have similar topics. How many people have experienced that?
Yeah.
Man, all the time.
Mhm.
And of course, you see it on Amazon. If you've gone shopping, there'll be a record of things you bought previously and then suggestions. How many times have you gotten an alert on your Echo device saying, by the way, there's a drop in price on something that you have on your wish list? It can be handy, but it also can be a little spooky. Now, social media has gotten involved with AI also. And if you're on Facebook, you probably see all these feeds that you comment or click on one feed related to a topic. All of a sudden, you're getting the same type of thing again and again. I lurk on my husband's Facebook page because his daughter is on Facebook. And he must have clicked on something related to North Dakota because his feed is full of old-time pictures from all around rural North Dakota and lots of stories about horses. It's almost to the point of an annoyance. And how many of you get suggested friends on social media? Supposedly they're making efforts to detect fake news, but I've noticed some people will post something, especially on Facebook, and it's an image, and then you look at it and you say, oh, that can't be right. And it's not. It's artificial intelligence image that's been generated to make it look like the real thing. And then people repost it as if it's the truth. And of course, if I lurk on TikTok, and they will recommend other content creators based on what I've watched. So you can go down a rabbit hole on any of these social media platforms based on recommendations. Now, this is just kind of a quick overview of everyday examples of AI in action. We talked about product recommendations. They'll alert you to pricing changes many times through an email. And I'm getting automated emails with the shipping times. It's going to arrive, tomorrow, or it's 10 stops from reaching your house, which is helpful because then you know if you're going to get it in the morning or in the afternoon. One of our daughters uses Waze for transportation, which is a real-time traffic alert. And when they travel from Alexandria, Virginia to Catonsville, she will send me a text with the Waze trip. And I can watch her go from her house all the way up here. Sometimes she's on 95, sometimes she's on 295, sometimes she's held up somewhere. And to me, it's great. You don't have to worry. Remember the old days you didn't know when somebody was going to show up. And of course, it's very handy for route planning. And since we're car free now and using Lyft, you can follow along waiting for your driver to show up. And you know if they're lost on the campus by where they are. And sometimes you'll see somebody parked in front of 7:15 when they should be in 7:17. I send a text and say, come to the building behind, and they get there. Fraud detection is used by banks now. And I have an Apple card, and they will notify me within seconds of a transaction. Number one, if I buy something online, you can see it on your phone immediately being coming through. And also they will send an immediate notice that they've declined it because it looks suspicious. And then you have to verify it on your phone if it is correct or not. How many of you are using the mobile check deposits? I think that's a gift to the world that you can deposit checks using your phone. And of course, there's lots of algorithms now for if you're using any kind of personal finance management. Some more examples, customer service. I bet we've all had chatbots trying to steer us through. It takes a while to get a real live person these days. Sometimes you can actually resolve issues with AI, sometimes not. There's healthcare. It's the monitoring systems are in place. They're using virtual assistants, and there's quite an evolving work with AI being used for actual reading of radiology reports and also helping with diagnoses that AI can summarize lots of information from a variety of sources to help the physician make a diagnosis. And I was reading using AI to ask the questions, how they're using AI reading x-rays and finding out that they are very accurate with picking things up. So they're not doing it exclusively, but they are also writing the reports based on what they are seeing in the x-ray. And, you know, they're trained on actual physicians' reports. And finally, smart homes. I know Hope has a Nest thermostat. Anybody else using a Nest thermostat?
Actually, we moved to an
Marilyn?
Ecobee.
Pardon?
We now have an Ecobee. It's a similar, but different,
Okay.
more recent.
Now, I have not gotten into smart lights, but I know some of you have. I know Hope does. Does anybody have a refrigerator that's smart that
No.
tells you you're out of milk? And the new robo, the vacuum cleaners, they've gotten quite smart and can map out the floor and go back to their station and let you know when they need to be emptied. The one that I have is not smart, just wanders all over and bangs into things. Okay, some of the other AI tools that we use every day. I use Grammarly, I have for several years. And travelers are using Google Translate. And I think Hope's got some stories on that. Now, UCam Enhance is, I have not used it, but it looks intriguing because it helps restore old photos. And of course, now we got the Zoom AI companion, which will summarize this meeting. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on voice typing, but we know that AI is being used for our speech recognition and transcription. And so you figure it can process what you're saying, it understands what you're saying, and then it'll generate the transcription. It's pretty amazing. And now on the iPhone, it's part of your standard keyboard. And I thought I would just review this because I don't see a lot of people using voice dictation. that if you're in an Apple app like Notes or Messages, and you tap into the field, once you tap that microphone, you can start the dictation. And here's an example. Hi, Mary, comma. Notice you have to say the punctuation out loud. And also you can use terms like new paragraph to skip a line. And you can also use your smiley face emojis. And then you tap on that microphone again. Who's using dictation regularly? If you've got arthritic fingers, it's a wonder. Or just the sheer convenience of just saying something without having to worry about how it's spelled.
I think the thing for me is I have to remember to turn it off.
Oh, yes. Sometimes if I'm dictating while I'm sitting in my recliner, all of a sudden it's picked up a paragraph from the TV show I'm watching. But I do want to mention something about smiley face emojis because we know we have an expert in the group here with smiley faces. There's a recent article about the nuance and context for emojis for older people are different than the younger generation.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to be careful of what ones you're using.
Yes.
We know about the peach and the eggplant, but did you know that if you just use a smiley face, that the Gen Z people will think you're dismissive? They don't view it as a happy face. So they are generating like teenage slang. Remember growing up, we had certain words. Well, the younger generation are using emojis like we used to use slang. So just beware that if you put a thumbs up in your email to your granddaughter, they might interpret that as passive aggressive. That's just a little tip I learned about reading an article.
Oh, thanks.
Now, of course,
And the namaste, hands together,
yeah,
is a real positive one.
okay,
That's agreed, or some of the things where we do the thumbs up.
okay. Now we know about using your dictation on the Mac. I started using that pretty exclusively just within the last year. You do have to have dictation turned on in your settings. But when you do that in settings, when you click to enable, it's going to come up with two options. And one is you share your audio recordings with Apple. So, quote, they can make things better, or don't share. Well, I don't need my dictation into the Apple's cloud, so I don't share audio recordings with Apple. And the thing is coming up with what do you want to use for your shortcut key? So you can just tap a key twice. And these are the options when you are in the settings. I am using the control key twice. And the control key is the one that has that little upward caret. And I just tap that twice and I can start to dictate and then tap it again. So when you tap the shortcut key, and if you're in like a word processor or even in Safari, that icon will show up. It's a blue with the microphone, and that means the dictation is active. And then to stop it, you just turn it off. Now, I just did a quick little screen recording rather than. Let me show you how to dictate an email message. I'm going to tab down to the body of the email, and I am going to tap my shortcut key twice. And now the microphone is showing up. Period. All I have to do is talk. My hands are waving in the air right now. Period. They are not on the keyboard. Exclamation point. I think this is enough of a demonstration to illustrate the convenience of dictating, period.
Hmm.
Let me show you how to dictate an email message. I'm going to tab down to the body of the. Okay, so that's a little demo of dictation. And let me quickly do a little translate example. Translate, you just open it up. And what I like about it is it also gives you a clue on how you pronounce it. Google Translate opened in Safari. I'm going to ask the question. It's a good tourist. Where is the restroom? You'll see it's already translated. If I want to hear what it sounds like, I tap on the microphone.
Où sont les toilettes? Où sont les toilettes?
That should get me where I need to be.
What I would add is if you have a paragraph of text in a different language, it's very simple to just plunk that text in under the name of the language, and it will do that instant translation.
Okay, now just some final comments from me. We have all been, alerted to scams and frauds out in the world. Many are digital, and the same thing applies with using artificial intelligence because, there's the good guys and the bad guys, the white hats and the dark hats. So I think we'll probably be seeing more alerts to be cyber safe using artificial intelligence. So never put your birth date or your social security number or any identifying information of that nature in a search prompt that is in a chat bot. And I think the deep fakes we really have to be aware of. And the scammers are now using AI to come up with fake calls. So the voice on the other end will sound like your husband or your grandchild or someone you would recognize. And again, common sense, always ask someone if you're unsure. And last night when I was looking at this image, I was wondering, that doesn't look right. And looking at the comments, many people were agreeing with the image, but the majority of people were saying that's a fake. So that just to show you that group of people commenting on that image, there's some people thought it was real. Now I'm going to turn it over to Hope. And this image, just to let you know, we had fun playing around with images using AI to come up with images. And this was an example of using Gemini, which is a Google tool. I had a free trial for a month. And I asked it to come up with an image for large language models, which Hope is going to talk about next.
Large language models. It's a type of artificial intelligence which is designed to understand and generate human language. The first one used for consumer use was ChatGPT, and that's probably what you know when you think of these AI bots. This is a very sophisticated looking thing, but it does help to explain what we're talking about in terms of artificial intelligence. It's the field of study. People can get doctorates in artificial intelligence.
Wow.
Think of it in terms of like physics is a big field. Within that is the field thermodynamics, and then that's broken up in all sorts of things. Well, machine learning is a field of artificial intelligence. Within that is deep learning, and a type of deep learning is large language models. So this is a very simplified diagram. Jeff Sue did a 10-minute YouTube video on AI for beginners. That's in the resource list at the end. If you want to watch that, I have to admit my eyes began glazing over a little bit in it. So it does get deeply in there. But and here again, some the ways we played. Here's one example of one of the, I think this was Gemini creating a picture of a large language model. Interestingly, some of the things that it's creating are in English and others are in some other languages. I see I can read problem solving and recreation. I'm not so sure what Sanonurk is, but it looks like it's a diagram, a graph of some sort. Okay.
I think
Uh,
it also shows an example of hallucinating,
Yeah.
which AI can do.
True. That's true. Yes. And so it's making some things up. Here's a different AI model, trying to remember which one this was. I think this was Claude, but I'm not sure. But this is again trying to graphically explain what large language models are.
Wow.
But the one that I liked best was the one done by the AI, and we'll talk about the various ones, called Perplexity. And I think that it gave me the way my brain works. I could understand an input and training data. So you're inputting some stuff that you want it to learn. And it goes into it, it's compared with all sorts of data that it's already been pre-trained on. And then it creates these layers of things and generates an output. And it's interesting now that it generates lots of text. It generates translations, Q&As, it summarizes, it writes creatively. I was playing last night with creating audio and creating video. So it's amazing what you can create just putting in a simple term in a prompt. And all of these large language models are trained on massive text data sets. I'm familiar with some of them in that if you're in a specific field like medicine, there are a number of different data sets of lots of privatized information about diagnoses and patients and things. Well, that will be one of the data sets that they can use for training. And then they can use it on actual something within a current setting to actually create something today. But the training information is really a very important part of this. So it learns by reading huge amounts of text and absorbing materials in all sorts of formats. And that helps it understand how words and sentences fit together. After training, it can do things like answer questions, write essays, summarize information, translate, and even write computer code.
Wow.
I thought I was asking it to do one thing, and it created a computer program for me in JavaScript. So, I mean, just have to be a little careful what you ask for, I guess. The ones that we're going to be talking about most are ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and a little bit about Claude, but I have to admit I haven't used Claude very much, and I haven't used Grok either. You can think of it, I like this example Anne came up with. If you think of it as a super advanced autocomplete, you give it a prompt and it predicts the text that should come next based on what it has already learned.
Wow.
So first one, the one we know the most about, I think, just as a whole consumer audience, is OpenAI, which is the company that does ChatGPT. And it, beginning in 22, has made it simple to ask questions and get answers just by typing, just as you would in a Google box. And it generates very human-like text for natural conversations. And you can then prompt it to give you further answers. And so it isn't a single question and answer. You can have basically a conversation. They all of them are fast and efficient and some are better than others for real-time interactions, but OpenAI is particularly good. And it deals with a diverse list of topics and applications because it's been trained on those. And now it does, not only does it do images with version 4, but if you have the page version, which I don't, you can actually have it create a video for you. So this is the example of a blank screen. when you go to ChatGPT. And you can start your query by filling in the prompt in the Ask Anything. And really, the better the prompt, the better your results. There are full articles on how to give good prompts. You should tell it what your role is, why you're asking this information, what you want to get out of it. An example, another one is, here's say, for example, teach me Mahjong for beginners. And you press enter, and it will definitely give you a whole course in Mahjong in very simple, and you can say, well, I don't understand this part of it. And it will then focus in on that, and you can just go through various things to learn. Now, if you look at these screens of some of the things that it's saying, if you want to chat with it, you want to talk with it, you want research, Sora is the video app. And when you click on that, it says, fine, we will be glad to do this with you as long as you pay me some money. So it's the Sora is to create video. But you can do the graphics, create pictures very easily. I could even just put it here, create a picture of a dog and cat fighting over something. And
Wow.
they would just automatically put that together, which is how we did these diagrams that you've seen in here. The second one I want to at least talk about, and I have to say, I have not used it as much. It's, and have you used Claude much? And have you used Claude much?
Yes, I have used it.
Okay, so you may be able to give me more information on this
Yeah,
one.
it's real good for writing.
Okay, it reads documents and writes context, explaining things in simple terms. And it's good in summarizing, okay, creative writing. And it's owned by Anthropic with Amazon as its major investor. Okay. And this is what its front screen is. If you go in there, actually, they want you to sign up whether you pay or not. And this is, so I signed up for a free account. And so when I come back in, it'll greet me by name. When I did it in the evening, it said, "Good evening, Hope." So it's trying to be nice and personal. And so when I clicked by mistake on code, it actually did create a computer program for me. So, and Perplexity is the one probably that I've used the most. And it is very good for images, code, text, video, audio. You can do it for very simple things. Actually, Walt and I used it when our television broke 2 nights ago. We did very quick research on picking a new television set. And it told us the places to get it, different prices, and we would put in, it would tell us something about it, and that would prompt us to say, but what about this? And it would then remember what it said before, and then say, well, if you want this feature, but also this feature, that means you can get these models, but not those models. So it was very helpful on that. So the other thing you can do, I understand that today is national, I asked it what was happening today to look at the event tracking. And so I can find out how people are celebrating National Chocolate Chip Day. So
Oh, boy.
Happy National Chocolate Chip Day.
Oh, boy.
This is a private company, and it has some major investors. Jeff Bezos or Amazon has his finger in a number of them, and this is one of them. Okay, and this is what the screen looks that you go to originally. And so I decided I gave a talk, Walt and I gave a talk last Friday on WikiTree, which is a genealogy product. And so I asked it to create an introduction to WikiTree. And let's see what, I guess that one didn't, where is that? Yes. No, that was Gemini then. I ask it, and it created a very nice long document on WikiTree, but I guess it was Gemini that I asked to do the deep research project. So anyway, this one is Perplexity. It's very simple to use. And actually, there's an app for the phone and the computers for Windows or Mac that you can download from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and find. So you have the app on your device rather than, or you can type in perplexity.ai as in a browser. Gemini is one that has really, I guess I learned about it this week because Ann and I both got a prompt saying that I guess I had signed up for it earlier and it said it was now ready to use. And so I put in here that I wanted it to create a beginner's guide to WikiTree. And it created that document, a long document, let's see, a long document. And what I thought was fascinating, after I had created the document, it then asked me, did I want it to create an audio overview? And it created a 20-minute talk based on the content that it had created. And in the information that it created about WikiTree and the document, it gave me a long list of all the sources it had used and the other sources it had looked at but not used, which I thought was fascinating that I got all of that in its deep research. So anyway, that's Gemini. This was a Gemini diagram that was created, and it shows that I guess what's on the right is more the hallucination, Ann. Is that what you would say?
Yeah, based on the words, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But it does, to me, illustrate how much computing power is needed to run these large language models. You know,
And
you
yet
heard about
they read very well on
servers that they need.
the servers. Yes. Gemini also now has this thing that's just coming out called the Google Notebook. And you can sign up also to have Google integrate in your Docs, your Gmail, your Sheets. It looked like I could get that for 1 month, and then there is a $19.99 charge. So I have not signed up for that one. There's enough other things to explore at now until I decide I have to have it on my phone for emails. And let's see, the notebook is for researchers. One of the things with the Google Notebook is you can upload a PDF or a YouTube video and have it summarize it for you. So sometimes if something is a complex program, it might be nice to have somebody do that simplification for me. And then you can, after that's done that, you can have a dialogue with it to ask about what it had seen and what it was telling you about. So it isn't just spitting something out. You actually can have a conversation about.
And one of the key features of the Notebook LM is that you can load up your own content.
That's right.
And I have been using it for several months and have collected lots of notes on a variety of topics. And I just copy it and paste it out of notes into the notebook, and then that will summarize my own stuff. And that's the beauty of that particular software.
Yes. Okay, here's an example of an overview of a conversation about large language models. How does a large language model process and generate information? And we put in this PDF, and it summarized it, and then it can create an audio based on that and a study guide. So all sorts of information, all based on the information that you fed into it. So again, this is kind of how the large language models work, and this was the diagram that Perplexity created, and showing how it's working with the content, but then it's generating the text, and it's got all of these capabilities to not only text generation, but you can give it something in Spanish or Russian and have it do an English translation. in its output. So
Wow.
all of that is all there. I liked what Anne wrote me last night, and we've been talking back and forth about this, that maybe we're at the point where we shouldn't be talking about this just as a tool, that these are collaborators, they're partners in creating information with us.
Wow.
So I'm not talking much about Grok, except saying it's the chatbot that's really all embedded in X. It's a project of Elon Musk. And so it is out there, but it is not one that I have used. Comparison of there are a number of these that have free versions, but to get the most out of anything, probably you want to do the paid version. Although I'm finding an awful lot out of these free versions. So I haven't, I don't want to pay for a lot at this point. Claude can be used free by the web interface. Some usage is rate limited and some features are paid. Same with Gemini. Perplexity, you have unlimited quick searches and 3 pro searches per day free. So that's one way to use it. And Gemini is available on the web with lower usage limits compared to paid users. And you can select this model from a drop-down menu when starting a new chat or search, which is what I've been doing. And we've got a bunch of, it's been a lot here, but there are a lot more places that you can learn from. And so here's the resource list. The one that explains the quantum physics comparison is this Google AI course in 10 minutes. Just what we've been trying to do is give you a simple introduction, some practical uses, and talk about the real world tools that are out there for you to use. Now we're ready for questions. Except I think I'm going to stop my screen share for quick Q&A so that I can see folks.
Just for fun, I thought, let me share my screen and show you how I used ChatGPT last night. And do you see on the screen the AI for Beginners PDF?
Mm-hmm.
And what I asked it, make recommendations for this presentation for an audience of 70 and 80-year-old people who live in a retirement community. I'm prompting it. The instructors are in their 80s. Provide feedback if the concepts need more clarity, if they are too advanced, and what is missing, and make suggestions to improve or to delete. Your role is a trusted advisor on educational principles for older adults. So that's the prompt. You can get pretty elaborate. And then the response was, you've done an impressive job compiling a wide array of information. And they thought that we were giving too much information in some respects.
Oh.
But they look at this long list of suggestions. So I
Wow.
thought that was kind of interesting, asking ChatGPT to evaluate the work. And I'm going to use that more frequently.
Yeah, it sounds like a good thing to use.
Yeah.